This is Titletown Sound.
If Joe Flacco is worth a fourth-round pick, Antonio Brown might be worth a negative fifth-round pick.
Again, I'm just a fat dude sitting on the couch, but I watch a lot of football.
I'm here to kick ass and make steaks, and I'm all out of steaks.
Year one, he was like, all right, guys, I don't know what Dom taught you, but you need to have 11 guys on the field.
A trained orangutan could have done a better job than Ron Zerks. I mean, not even well trained.
Welcome, Packers fans, to episode 207 of the Titletown Sound podcast. This is the podcast for fans of the Green Bay Packers and lemonade. You see, today is National Lemonade Day. I hope you all celebrated accordingly. Yeah, okay. Well, now a man who says that when life gives you lemonade, make sure nobody peed in it. It's James Corsmo. James, how you doing?
I find that pre-drank lemonade is probably the worst kind of lemonade.
Sure. And now a man who once opened a lemonade factory. It was conveniently located around the corner fudge was made.
That's true. Don't forget the dual milk plants located just up the street.
So now that we've been completely crude in our opening, I want to welcome Johnny, James, Pablo are all in the chat. If you guys are in the chat, give us a shout. We'll try to put your comments up on the screen as long as they're as tasteless as possible. So we had a preseason game. We're trying to get back on our regular Tuesday schedule. We'll see if that works. We do our best, but real life gets in the way. But for that preseason game, we had an on-site correspondent. We didn't have press access because, look at us. But we did have Kevin, who was there, quite frankly, because the game was right down the road.
And the tickets were free, yes. Both of those things
for
were contributing factors, yeah.
He went to, I think the best part is you went with a patron, so the patrons just keep on giving.
That's true. I did. I was invited by Jason Hicks, or one of our OG patrons, to go to the game, and I did with him and his 5-year-old son. And I got to tell you, Baltimore treats preseason a little bit differently, I think. Okay. They're out to win. It's kind of bizarre. Their record, they're 15-3 or something in their last 18 I don't know. There's some sort of Detroit Lions statistic. Yes. Yeah, exactly. But you can tell, when they're playing, you can tell that I don't know, they look like they're trying to win, and maybe that means that they're a good team. But it was kind of funny. But the main point, the main thing that I want to focus on, I think, on my story of my trip there.
Let's not get too wrapped up in football yet. Let's talk about what happened.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So the first thing that caught our eye was when we get there and we park and we go into the stadium and we sit in our seats, and within 3 minutes we see, who do we see but a guy wearing a Brett Hundley jersey walking up the steps to the concourse level. So Chris, you're not the only one. You're not the only person who had a custom-made Brett Hundley jersey. So I guess that's good.
I want to clarify. Was it Brett Hundley?
It could have been. It possibly could have been. Yeah. So I thought that was a good start to the night.
That's virtually like spotting a unicorn in the stadium seating.
I don't know, if you were wearing yours and he was wearing his and you were there, a rift in the time-space continuum might have just ripped apart right there, and would have fallen into a black hole or something.
It would have become an amazing buddy film. You go into Comedy action film, something like that.
Okay, you went a different way with it. I like it. Mine was a little darker, but cool. Either way. So all right. So not only do the Ravens try to win the games, but the fans are super intense too. I was seated next to a fine young gentleman who was really, really annoying. First of all, I'm 6'5", so I'm a tall guy. So sitting in a stadium seat is not the most comfortable experience to begin with. So when you have a guy who sits next to you who man spreads, it's not cool. So this guy sits next to me, and I asked Jason, I said, Jason, today I texted him. I was like, what are some of the finer points of our visit to Ravens Stadium that I should mention on the podcast?
Right.
And one of the things he texted me was the guy wouldn't stop touching me. And so Jason Hicks was sitting in front of me, and I was sitting next to the guy who wouldn't stop touching Hicks. Imagine that. This guy was touching me constantly. His leg was constantly rubbing up against my leg because he refused to acknowledge the borders in the seats.
Right. There's a border. And you have to respect that.
Yes, exactly.
So, but he was like actively violating. Like he wanted you to know this is my space, regardless of what my ticket says. I have seat 7 and an 8th.
Yeah, I don't think he was necessarily doing it intentionally. I think he was doing it more drunkenly than anything else. But still, either way, not cool. But I mean, like, you know, I flirted that, and I stood my ground. And I kept my leg there, and if you wanted to bump up against my leg, that's cool. Like, I don't care. Like, you know, couldn't have been comfortable for him either. So we had a lot of leg-on-leg contact.
Real quick, Johnny asked a question in the chat. We're going to get to questions about the defense a little bit later, so we haven't forgotten about you. All right, so a lot of hot leg-on-leg contact.
Very warm, very warm.
A lot of cricket action going on.
But you told us, you told James and I a story from before the actual kickoff that I found fascinating.
Oh yes, I can't. How did this? Oh my God, how did I? All right,
we get delicious Canadian beer as you talk about.
Yeah. Oh my God, this blows my mind. I can't believe I didn't think of this sooner. Thank you for reminding me. So, like 10 minutes before kickoff comes, and the color guard comes out, you know, presenting today's colors, blah, 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 whatever. Cool. And
James,
everybody in the stadium stands up.
Usually that means.
What's that?
I was saying, James, usually the color guard comes out. That means what?
That usually means that your clothes are going to come out of the washer super, super clean.
No, it generally means the national anthem is about to play, right? That's what I would have thought.
The national anthem's good.
Oh, yeah. That kind of color guard. I thought you were talking. I thought you were talking Tide. I'm sorry.
No worries.
So the color guard comes out, and the PA announcer announces the color guard and introduces them, and everybody in the stadium stands up. I'm like, all right, here we go. National anthem. Let's get this game started.
Right.
Not the national anthem. I don't even. Who sings this song?
This is amazing.
This is
his name.
Lee Greenwood.
Yes, Lee Greenwood.
Yes, God. What is it? Proud to be an American.
God bless the USA.
They bring out the color guard for God bless the USA.
And so I'm there standing like an a-hole because I think the national anthem is going to play. All these people around me from Baltimore are standing because they're standing for this song. They are intentionally standing for this song. It was like a different world. It was so bizarre. We sat down, and then 5 minutes later we stood back up for the national anthem. This is
for Lee Greenwood.
Yes. You stand for Lee Greenwood. You show Lee Greenwood respect. You put some respect on his name.
James Hamlin asks a fair question in the chat. Is Lee Greenwood from Baltimore or something? I'm pretty sure.
I think Baltimore is just from a different place, to be honest.
I'm gonna do a little quick research on Mr. Greenwood, but I don't think there's any chance he's from.
For example, James, the Baltimore Orioles in the 7th inning stretch, they played John Denver's "Thank God I'm a Country Boy."
Which
okay.
No,
he did it live once at Memorial Stadium, and so it's been like a tradition ever since. But still, it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, they couldn't find any other. I mean, I love John Denver. Don't get me wrong. I'm just picturing. Like Baltimore's that's a city, right? That's not in the middle of nowhere. That's
correct.
Right.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
But they stand for Lee Greenwood. So
by the way, who knows? Lee Greenwood is from California, so he's not from Baltimore. There's no
really.
That's so. Thank you for reminding me that because that brings back like weird memories of that.
Because that's weird.
It's because it's weird, right? All right. So a couple more things that I wanted to touch on. I have a couple of bullet points here. He not only was this guy next to me touching.
Hold on. Did you write things down?
I have. Yeah, I just wrote bullet points so I wouldn't have to look at my phone.
Dangerously close to research. Okay, go ahead.
It's rewriting. That's all. So I have here creepy as one of my bullet points, and he creeped out Jason's 5-year-old son. Like he said something to his son, and this 5-year-old just looks at Jason and then like looks back at this guy like, what do I say here? And he didn't say anything, which was probably the appropriate response. But he also, to the girl sitting like 2 seats to the right of me, said, he on several occasions, hey, pretty girl. She was like 16 or 17, probably.
Oh, boy.
It was not cool. And like her dad was sitting next to them. It was really, really bizarre. And he had like 4 drinks and he got pretty blasted and I could smell it. And it was like hard, like liquor that he got every time, which is fine.
Is this the toucher? Same
guy? Same guy. Yeah, this guy's a character. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was just we left at halftime, and to be honest, it's kind of hard to like remember a lot about the game, especially when like
I'm not worried about the game.
No, I'm not either. But I'm trying to think of like a couple of instances, in the game where I remembered it, and I thought it was, I thought, for example, the guy next to me, the toucher. I think at one of the Baltimore tight ends tried to leak over Savage, and Savage wasn't having anything, and it just like jumped into him, and they like tackled him. And the guy next to me is like standing up yelling, like, yeah, don't hurt him, Boyle. Don't hurt him, Boyle. And I'm like, he just got tackled on a routine play, and you're yelling. And also he thought that they must have game planned to particular plays, because the Packers had like a 12-yard run at one point. He was like, yeah, they're going to be picking on him.
As you do in the preseason.
Right. Because that's what you want to do in the preseason, is study and pick on fourth stringers.
Pick on a guy that's going to be a UPS driver next year.
Right.
We're going to show this bastard.
Teach him to play football.
He went to Larry's junior college, but we're really going to pick on him.
LJC, that's a good school, actually. So those are all the notes that I have. It was generally I had a good time, right? The parking situation was pretty easy. Okay. The game was a preseason game. I thought Kaiser looked like a backup quarterback, but not like terrible. But that's hard to tell from the end zone. And I thought, I mean, that's all. That's all I got.
There is one thing that I forgot to do, and that is to reveal the word of the week. Now, it has not been used as far as I know so far. So what I would like to do is have you gentlemen avert your eyes so I can show our viewing audience. Oh, are we going to take off our headphones again so I can tell the people who are listening to the podcast?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we probably should.
Give me about 5 seconds, and I will tell the listeners and the viewers.
All right,
here we go.
1.
The word of the week.
2,
Snap.
67. 5.
James, when you do that, it's hard to hear the word of the week because you're talking over it.
I want it to be fun for all them too.
And now all those words are now words of the week. Every single word that he said during that.
So 1, 2. So that is the word of the week. And what happens when you mention that word of the week is that we chug. Well, James and I generally chug a beer. You never know what Kevin is going to do. Now, here's a beer I will not be chugging. I was in Canada this weekend, and I went to duty free several times. This is a Molson Triple X, which our listener Ed tells me is referred to in Canada as Canadian porn juice, which that sounds like an episode title to me, and I'll be drinking it. I won't be chugging it at almost 8% alcohol. All right, so let's talk about the game itself. Other than the weird guy who kept touching you, and Lee Greenwood getting a standing salute, let's talk about what the game meant to the Packers. And the first thing I want to talk about is it meant, unfortunately for Kevin, who was attending the game, no Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw, of course, opinions, and this is a travesty that Rodgers is out. James, what does it matter, or does it matter if Aaron Rodgers played in the last preseason game, or the next preseason game, or the last preseason game?
It means, on a scale of 1 to 10, it means -11. It means nothing. It really doesn't. I don't want him touching a football field I just don't want him doing it. There's nothing at this point. You're in week 3 of the preseason. You're going into week 3. There's no reason to throw him out there for a series or 2 or even a quarter. There's no upside to it, and only bad things can happen. So keep him on the sideline. He's already said that he prefers the practice reps, and he gets more out of that anyway. And I really couldn't care any less at all about people complaining, because they would also complain if Aaron Rodgers went out and tore an ACL,
right?
In August.
Hall of Fame patron Kyle Turpinning mentions what it means. It means that people will complain, and yes, they will. And I saw it, and I agree with you. I don't think it matters whether he plays. The reps he's getting in practice, he's not getting hit, but that's fine. He's been hit plenty. You want to preserve this guy's health. And I know, look, last year the complaint was this offense was slow. It started slow. And one of the reasons for that was that Aaron Rodgers didn't get enough reps, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? The offense didn't just start slow. It also finished slow. By the end of the year, we knew the problem was not the preseason. The problem was the offense. And, I don't think it was rust on Aaron Rodgers. He gets plenty of reps, and it's more important at this point, I think, to get reps for the backup quarterbacks.
And there are plenty of other teams in the NFL who have quarterback, like great teams, playoff teams, who have quarterbacks who are significantly younger than Aaron Rodgers and don't have his experience, whose quarterbacks never see the field in the preseason. Right. Jared Goff doesn't play in the preseason. Granted, he's not, as good as Aaron Rodgers, but his team, is fantastic, and they don't. They do just fine.
Yeah, and I think the point is you can't risk injury. What are you getting out of those 12, 15 plays, max that he can't get in practice, other than possibly getting sacked? And you're going to play your full offensive line. It's just there's a lot that goes into it when you're going to play not only a quarterback, but a franchise quarterback, and a quarterback that is worth more to his team probably than most players are worth to other teams. Let's go right into talking about that backup quarterback situation, which we mentioned last week. Kevin, what did you say, or what did you see when it came to quarterback play? I know you left at halftime, which I don't blame you. What did you see from Deshaun Kaiser?
I saw a backup quarterback.
Is that good?
I mean, I saw a couple. I saw a couple of bad passes, a couple of fine passes. I think there was a screen that got dropped early on that would have gone for some yards, probably. It was a preseason game. There was nothing great. Like I said, I only saw it once from the end zone. So if I'm missing something, please feel free to let me know. But, it was just.
I wanted to get to that, too, because we've talked about this before on the podcast. It's been a while, but the NFL experience on television is superior to the experience of the game. There's just almost no getting away from that. Especially, I think, in the preseason when you're trying to evaluate what's going on. Mm-hmm. So, James, I know you were able to watch the whole game, almost like a penance for something you've done wrong. But what did you see in the backup quarterback play? Especially, let's talk about Kaiser first.
Okay. I'm obligated. Like, I live in Wisconsin. If I don't, they'll come to my house and take all my brandy, and I can't make old fashions anymore.
Do they have to take 2 trips? Because that's a lot of brandy.
It's yes, and a wheelbarrow. So Kaiser is maddeningly frustrating. Or wait a minute, he's frustratingly inconsistent. He can go 5 passes and all of them will look like a middle schooler through them. The read is off, the pass is bad. It's just, and then all of a sudden he'll make a play that's like, well, why can't you do this all the time? And that's just what he does. Like for every 1 or 2 really nice plays he has 7 or 8 that are terrible. And as you have to think about if you're willing to go through the crap to get to the good stuff. And I don't know. I don't think it's worth it with him. I really don't. Like, I just don't. It's if he got better, if he had gotten any better since last year, he had so much experience, and then in the last, and I'm just over Deshaun Kaiser. I really am.
Yeah. And here's the problem that I've had with the Packers and their backup quarterback situation forever. Well, I shouldn't say forever, but in the last several years, is that they've refused to have a veteran backup. It really irritated me last year, honestly, when they carried 3 quarterbacks, and yet 2 of them were developing quarterbacks. In my mind, if you're going to expend 3 roster spots on quarterback, I can defend that, but I'm going to have a veteran. I'm going to have a veteran, and I'm going to have a practice squad guy that I'm developing. Or if I'm going to have 3 on the active roster, I'm going to have a guy that I think he's probably not Aaron Rodgers' replacement, but he's a guy that I can groom, so he'll replace that veteran in a couple of years as my backup. But I don't understand how the Packers, and Kevin, I don't know if you share this frustration. I can't understand how the Packers have decided to go young at quarterback all the time.
And not just young, but like unremarkable and young. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be one thing if it was like a sweet quarterback, but I think from a backup quarterback, you do want like a veteran. Like, you just want a guy who's going to come in and play a few games.
Right.
Like we've talked about this a million times. Like, if Aaron Rodgers is out for 6 or 8 games, you're screwed anyway.
That's true.
So you can only plan. I mean, your backup quarterback should be like a 3 or 4 game backup plan, I feel like. I remember a couple years ago, like the Ravens had like Mark Bulger as their backup quarterback to Joe Flacco, and like that was like a great signing because, like, Mark Bulger, he's like a veteran. He had the best nickname given to him by Chris Berman too.
Which one?
Chris, Mark Pants Bulger. You knew that, right?
I'm pretty sure.
Just kidding. I made that nickname up for him, but yeah, but you get the idea.
I do. So I've got a live poll up. If you're watching live, I want to see what you guys think about how the Packers should go as far as a backup quarterback is concerned. I've expressed that I think you need a veteran. I don't mind if you're going to carry 3 quarterbacks. I don't mind if you take a backup that's a veteran and you have a guy that's a young guy. But I don't understand. I just don't understand this approach, James. And how many projects can you have going at once?
Right. I mean, as Kevin said, if Rodgers goes down, you're probably screwed anyway. But if it's 3 or 4 games and you're in a close division race, those 3 or 4 games might be the difference. And it just feels like they want to do these projects. They want to bring in these young guys. They traded Demarius Randall for Kaiser. They traded their number 1 draft pick. And yes, he was a problem child, but. At this point, you kind of have to look back at that and go, okay, and this might be a hot take. I don't know. I'm not good at judging the temperature it takes, but was it worth it? Was it worth, maybe getting rid of Demarius Randall for a quarterback who can't play consistently at all, when you probably could have moved Randall to safety, and he would have been just fine.
Yeah, I understand the move because they took a swing. This guy everyone said he had a lot of upside, he had a lot of potential, and I don't mind taking the risk. But in the end, it didn't work out. That's fine. And Randall seemed like he was becoming a problem child, but I don't think what you're saying is invalid. But so, our listeners or our viewers are telling us that they like either a veteran or a combo of veterans and rookies for or young guys for backup quarterback. I think you got to do something though to have a stable position. So if you go down for 2 games, if Rodgers is down for 2 games, can you win one of them, or can you at least bring a guy in who's been there before? That's my problem, because these guys are wide-eyed and it's their first game in the NFL, or it's their first game with an actual NFL franchise. It's not the Browns, and they're they got to get their feet under them and get used to the speed of the game before they can even win. You bring in an older guy, he's not going to be great, but he can manage the game, and that's all you need in a backup quarterback. You need to get just think about the state of that of the position now, the backup quarterback, and think about like 2012 or 13 when we had Matt Flynn. I mean, Flynn wasn't setting the world on fire,
but he was a placeholder, and he did really. I mean, he had he played himself into a ridiculous contract. So I mean,
so good as a backup because he knew how to play that spot that he made more money, per productive play than any player in the history of the NFL. Maybe Sam Bradford beats him just because of the huge amount of money that he made. But really, that's what you want out of a backup, a guy who can come in with spot duty. You're not looking – I don't think you're looking for the home run. I feel like the Packers think they're always going to find the next guy that you can trade for a second or first round draft pick. I just don't think you need to do that.
No, I would agree with you there wholeheartedly. I just bring in a guy that can make the throws he needs to make when he doesn't need to make, throw for 400 yards a game. He just, especially with LaFleur's offense, he just needs to be able to manage a game. We need a game manager. I don't know. It's frustrating to me.
All right, so we spent a lot of time on the backup quarterback position. I think another issue that we want to talk about in relation to this preseason game that was a little bit bothersome was tackling. James, the Packers have not been good.
I think Ty Summer just missed one right now. Actually, as we're speaking, he want just somebody. The guy. Look, I don't know how they practice tackling. I know they don't do a lot of hitting,
right,
in practice. The CBA and whatnot. I get that. I really thought that if there was going to be one positive thing that came out of that combined practice with, or those combined practices with the Texans, it would be that they might be able to get their tackling under control, earlier, and it's just not happening. Like, I'm watching Joe Webb just run through guys 2 weeks ago, and this week it felt like every Ravens ball carrier broke 4 tackles and ended up. It was insane. And you have Ty Summers, who's he could be a really good middle linebacker. He's got a lot of Nick Barnett in him, and that he's always right where he needs to be, but he can't ever finish the play. Also, his club has riots every weekend.
Oh, okay.
Club 56. It was a thing in Green Bay. Maybe you have to be local. I don't know.
Do you think this is something that's a product of the preseason, or do you think it's something like? Is this something to be concerned about based on what's happened in the first 2 preseason games?
It's a problem that hasn't been rectified through two defensive coordinators, and and new players, and so I'm preparing myself for a season full of broken tackles because.
I gotta stop you there because we have a Canadian in the chat, and I just want to raise my beer to Ed. Ed Lee is one of our, I guess just one of people who watches and listens. But hey, Ed, thanks for being you. That's what matters.
We love you, Ed, and all of Canada.
We do. We're huge fans of Canada, and we're big in Canada. We have at least 9 listeners, so that's big.
Well, 2 of us are big everywhere.
Well, not everywhere.
Mark Bolger.
James, anything else about this preseason game that we should know or talk about before we go to break?
I like how Kevin said it at the beginning of the show. It looked like the Ravens actually care about their preseason, and they actually came out wanting to play football and win a game. And the Packers came out and just didn't want to get anybody hurt, is all it looked like. So I cannot wait for preseason to be over. It's the stupidest thing in all sports, and I hate it.
And I've said it before the preseason starts, everybody, we're so excited. Like, can't wait for preseason. Yeah, football, Packers are playing. And then the first game happens, you're like, there's 9 Packers.
This is stupid.
Yeah, they're playing for 15 minutes. This is awesome. And it just highlights the stupidity of a 4-game preseason. Yet I understand you got to get these guys some game action because you got to make decisions on cuts. But there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way.
Well, I mean,
these guys have how many people? They have 80 guys at these preseason games, and they're going to cut to they know 25 of those guys are just bodies to get through the game. They might have to evaluate a few of them, but I mean,
what about this? What about this? What if you have you're going to cut down to 54 eventually, right? So what if you have your 90-man roster for your first 2 preseason games, and then for games 1 and 2, you have a 70 or 72-man roster, and then you don't have to make your final cuts until week 3. Maybe that's and add those preseason games. I know the players hate this. Add those preseason games to the regular season. So 2 preseason games, 2 expanded roster regular season games, and then go back to what it normally is. Is that the dumbest idea I've ever had? It might be.
No, remember the Brett Hundley jersey?
God, I hate you.
Touche.
I don't hate you. I hate me.
It's okay.
But we learned tonight on tonight's show that there's at least one other idiot out there that made the same mistake. Okay. And I have to believe that if you own a Brett Hundley jersey, either your last name is Hundley or you are an intense Packer fan and you listen to multiple Packers podcasts. So if you are the gentleman who was at the Ravens-Packers game in a Brett Hundley jersey, I need you to get in touch with us. I will, if you do, I will send you something. It won't be good, but I'll send you something that I like, maybe like a spatula, something that I own. It doesn't have to be Packers related, but I will send you, especially because I'm moving, so I got a lot of crap I got to get rid of.
Send you like a box of packing peanuts.
Something. I got a big roll of bubble tape. I'll send you like a yard of that.
That's fun.
Bubble, the poppy stuff. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get ready to go to break here. And before we go to break, we do have some people that we are contractually obligated to talk about, but we also like them. So, Kevin, would you tell us about our OG patrons?
I would be thrilled to tell us about our OG patrons. We have 4 of them, assuming nothing has changed since last week. Our OOGs, Jason Hicks and Scott Neer. And then we also have James Hamblin and Milo Meadsong. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't prepare anything clever for these 4 guys. Womp, womp. Sorry, I was too busy preparing my drink for our challenge. So
you couldn't just make something up? It's 4 people.
No, I couldn't make anything up. So, okay, yes, I can make something up.
Okay.
These 4 gentlemen have agreed to weed my garden next weekend. So thank you guys so much. I will send you my address, and then we can get that done. I've been meaning to do that for a while now.
So I've been doing this all wrong.
If you want to financially support the show, you can do so by going to patreon.com/TTSO. And for a small or large per episode donation, you can help us out. We really appreciate all of our patrons, our Hall of Famers especially. And when you pledge as a patron for whatever amount, doesn't matter, you're going to get our bonus show that we do once a month, and we say curse words, and it's fun. And you're also going to get your shout out on the show. So when you become a patron, that happens. So I think it's about time to go to break. When we come back from break, we're going to cover some news stories from this week in the Packers universe. And that's about it. Then we'll wrap up the show. So we're going to go to break. We'll be back in about 2 minutes, and we'll talk about 3 fascinating news stories. You don't want to miss these. It's riveting. Just fantastic. Did you know that you can help support our show financially without any additional cost to you? Well, if you use Amazon, and let's face it, who doesn't? You can go through our Amazon affiliate link, and we'll get a small portion of the proceeds. You pay nothing extra, and you still get your awesome stuff delivered in like 2 days. So go to www.titletownsoundoff.com/Amazon. And just order like you normally would, and you help the show. That's www.titletownsoundoff.com/Amazon. Happy shopping.
If you would like to support the show and help others find it, give us a review and a rating. Go to Apple Podcasts and write something nice and give us 5 stars. Thanks.
episode 207 of the Titletown South podcast. And before we get to our other patrons, I do have a review from Apple Podcasts to read this week. If you leave us a review, as long as you give us like 5 stars, we'll read it. And this may be my favorite review that we've gotten. Gentlemen, we converted someone. This is from Converted Chiefs Fan, or otherwise known as Fresh Cheese Monkey, which sounds dirty, but I don't think it is. I've been a Chiefs fan for a long time and just recently married a Packers fan. That is not a lateral move. That is a promotion. As we dated and eventually married, I listened to this show with him. And out of all the podcasts I listen to, this is my absolute favorite Packers-related one. Chris, Kevin, and James are hilarious and full of Packers insight. And then in parentheses, Kevin, prepare to bask in the glow. Kevin is my favorite. We found her. We found or him. I can't tell. We found the one person who's a Kevin fan. If you are looking for Packers podcast, look no further. Keep it up, fellas, and go Pack Go. I don't know why, but that is my favorite. That's my favorite. So.
I got to be honest with you. I'm a little bit flattered, but also I think a little bit less of you now, to be honest with you, because I am definitely the worst one of the three of us here.
That's true.
So if there's somebody to, I would probably be one of the other two. But
here's my favorite part about that. We stole a fan from a good fan base. Chiefs fans are good fans. Mm-hmm. Like this, we didn't get a Jets fan, right?
Yeah.
We get, I don't know, a crap. We didn't get like a Cardinals fan who was like, I'm just tired of this. We got a good fan, and we helped. I don't think we were the converting factor, but we helped. Right. And I think that's something worth, it's impressive.
So we're the favorite of the Packers podcasts that they listen to.
Right.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And you're the favorite of the favorite.
So I should win some sort of award is what I'm hearing.
You are this person's favorite Packers podcast host, I must assume.
Well, no, I mean,
that's a lofty.
It's so facto, right? Like
when in Rome.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a lofty expect. That's pretty good. I like that.
All right, so very good at logical leaps.
We do have. Oh wait, we got to get to our other patrons. Who are our other Hall of Fame patrons? James.
Yes.
Talk about them. And
I have to assume that I'm one of these guys' favorites. If I am, please let me know because my self-esteem is bad. So we have Jeff Augustine, we have Paul Goldsack, Kyle Turpening, Nick, who's still not John Glenn, he's working on it, DJ Lightfoot, and Will Zin Savage, or as we say here in filthy Packerland, Zin Savage. And that's 6. There's 6 of those guys, and they're also going to go weed Kevin's garden.
Yes.
So you have a group of 10 coming to weed your garden, buddy.
Nice.
Is this episode 207 where we're just mailing it in? I mean, I'm okay with that if we've all agreed to that. Thank you to all of our patrons, Hall of Fame, regular, normal, new, whoever you are, we love you. You help this show keep going. All right, so it's time to go to the news.
Spanning the globe to bring you all of the news that's fit to podcast. It's Kevin Christofko.
All right, Kev, are you ready? Ready?
Yeah, I mean, I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be.
Which means he's not ready. All right, here we go with the first news.
Who's that on the sideline? It's a bird. It's a plane. It's defensive coach Mike.
The best part is there are like 4 people who get that joke. We are 3 of them.
And the other one is on a Bears podcast.
When we were on the Bears podcast, we used to be called the Bears Brothers until the Bears threatened to sue them. When we were on their podcast, one of the guys forgot Mike Pettin's name and called him Coach Mike. And for some reason, all 3 of us almost peed ourselves laughing at that. So Mike Pettin has decided to come to the sidelines to coach instead of from the booth where he was. And he said that like he's an information guy. He likes to have everything spread out in front of him. And that's why he had been in the booth. But what I thought was interesting, James, I don't know if you saw the article. One of the reasons he decided to come down to the sideline was because in the 12 minutes that halftime affords you, it's almost impossible to get to the locker room and back. that it's like that Lambeau Field is not made for you to go from the box down to the locker room.
I mean, honestly, it's these mundane little logistical things that people don't think about. But yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I just assumed it was to be closer to LaFleur because that's a handsome fella.
Yeah,
and I would want to be closer to him. Yeah, like a wingman.
Trying to pick up
LaFleur's
wingman. Do you think that this, Kevin? Do you think this has any practical effect on the defense? Like, is this something? Because when we heard, and I remember this from last year when we heard that Pettin was going to coach from the box, we didn't like it, right? Do you think it really matters if he's on the sidelines?
I mean, if it affects his ability to coach at halftime, then yeah, it absolutely matters. You okay? You stroking out over there?
No, I'm responding to a comment in the chat. I'm trying to do it subtly, but you didn't allow.
Yeah, I mean, I forget exactly what I was saying, but it was a relatively good point, so I'm going to stick with it.
James, do you think it matters if Pettin's on the sideline as opposed to in the box?
I mean, I think it has to matter some, just based on what you can see and what you can't see. I mean, it's easier to see things unfolding and the play actually happening, and you're able to see it from above. But you're also able to communicate more easily with your players when you're on the sideline. So I think it's a trade-off. As long as he has a good assistant up in the box that's able to relay information to him, right. I like him down there because I would rather have Pettin getting in somebody's face if they're doing something wrong than have him have some assistant dweeb get in that guy's face. I think it's more effective.
Absolutely. But let's face it, Mike Pettin is an intimidating looking effort. I mean, he is a scary looking dude. Like his presence on the sideline, I think it matters. And who knows? Maybe it doesn't. But I like that he's down there now. And but I have to share with you some of the story. James, what's your opinion of Rob Demovsky?
Okay, if I'm going to be honest with you,
yeah,
he tries really hard.
Okay,
yes, he tries really hard.
Perfect. That is the perfect evaluation. Okay, so
like polar opposites.
I want to read you some selections from Rob Demovsky's article about Mike Pettin going to the sidelines. Right, so Pettin originally told Demovsky that he's an information guy, and that's why he likes to be in the booth. He likes to spread everything out in front of him. He says, I don't want to be the guy that looks like he's flipping through a Cheesecake Factory menu when I'm looking for stuff on defense, right? He has a big playbook that he looks through. I'm going to read you a selection now from Rob Demovsky where your criticism – perfect. We didn't plan this. So perfect. He tries too hard, Mr. Demovsky does. So this is a quote from his article. Don't send any waiters or waitresses to the sideline this year, because Pettin will be there flipping pages, looking for the right blitzes, not trying to order blintzes.
Oh, my God. That is a colossal waste of ink. Slash waste of pixels on the online version.
And I'm not like trying to be insulting towards him. That I was on the school newspaper in high school, and that literally sounds like something I would have wrote. Like,
that would not have gotten past the editor.
See, I think so. Sometimes I think what happens, like with us, when we're like preparing for a show. I know I said the word that I shouldn't say. I know, breaking the fourth wall. But like we'll like brainstorm ideas. Right. That idea needed to be brainstormed and bounced off somebody else for them to be like, no, let's take that in a different direction. That sounds really stupid. Yeah. And it didn't happen, and that's unfortunate. But maybe next time.
So Mike Pettin will be on the sideline. I think it's time to go to story number 2. Ready, Kev?
1 second. Let me just let's go for it here.
All right, perfect.
Special report. Jamon Moore's tires have as much traction as the receiver gloves.
Shut it down. That's the best one. That's the best one he's ever had.
Pretty good. Jamon Moore, he got in a car accident I think it was today, from what I can tell. And let me get some details here. So
it wasn't today. It was a few days ago.
Was it a few days ago? Okay.
It was after the Ravens game. I think the day after the Ravens game. Friday.
He was cited by police. Okay, so it was Friday. You're correct. He was cited when his car collided with a truck on Friday. He lost control of his Mercedes-Benz LL, which I don't even know what that is.
Large, long.
It's a car.
Yeah.
Mercedes-Benz large long. Okay, good. I wasn't sure. So initial reports said that he wasn't cited, but what happened was, and he admits, he says it on his Instagram, like, okay, so I'm an attorney and I deal with car accidents from time to time. By time to time, I mean every day. Just a tip.
Only when you see an ambulance and you decide to chase it. That's really the only.
And if you've seen me run, you know it has to be an ambulance that's very close by. But what I will tell you is, if you're in a car accident, don't go on your Instagram and tell people that you hydroplaned and lost control. Just put it out there. Don't do that. So that's what he said on his Instagram, that he hydroplaned, he lost control. And what happened was the road was wet and Mr. Moore couldn't handle his vehicle, got out of control, and he hit a guy in a pickup truck. Now, I know this isn't really that big of a deal, but when you got a guy, am I making too much of this, James? When you got a guy who's a problem, not a problem, but just not, what's the word I'm looking for? Very good. And then have added off-field things like this. I know this isn't domestic abuse or, something major, but does this kind of thing influence whether Jamon Moore makes the team?
I don't think it does. It was stupid. It was really stupid. Like you said, you don't admit guilt to your to what you did on social media. But that being said, how many accidents, how many things like this happen and we don't even hear about it?
Right.
If he hadn't put it on his Instagram, none of us would have known about it probably. So
well, they would have. He was cited for for like failure to control his vehicle. So
eventually it would have come out in the paper.
Did it bite somebody?
Yes.
But, it's stupid, and when you're on the roster bubble, like I think he is, you can't really afford to look any stupider than you already do. So,
I think ideally you want to keep a low profile, and that was not maintained by this.
Yeah, and the thing is, to say he's on the roster bubble says a lot about his absolute lack of success, with the Packers, because he's was he a second-year player?
Yeah, second year.
And, they liked him when they got him, and now he's already on the roster bubble on a team that doesn't really have, other than Devontae Adams, doesn't have a whole lot of veteran wide receivers. James, that says a lot about Jamon Moore.
Oh, it does. I think that, you have to look at it from a bigger perspective too. So you have Devontae Adams is clearly, he's up, he's the highest tier. But then you have a log jam of 6 or 7 other guys that don't include Moore, who could legitimately make this team and who are really actually pretty good.
But raw.
Yeah, well, they're raw, but I mean, Moore can't catch a pass.
Right.
I don't know. I haven't looked up the job description or recently of a wide receiver, but I feel like catching passes might be high on the list, like it's bullet point 1 or 2, I'm sure. So I mean, just don't do stupid stuff when you don't have a guaranteed job.
And I cannot find the Mercedes-Benz LL. I've been searching for.
Can you find Mercedes Lewis?
Well, not recently. I can't. Talk about roster bubble. There's another guy who may not make this team. Why can't I find this car? Does this car exist, or you have to be a football player to get it?
That's a special. Yep, it's on the football players web. That's where you buy it.
It's like Kit from Knight Rider.
That's right. Anyway,
you can't find a stock kit at the yard.
Oh wait, Kyle Turpinning has a great suggestion. Trade Moore for Janis straight up. Bring back Janis. Put him in direct competition with Jake Kummerow. Wisconsin.
No.
Load.
Put Jeff Janis on Jake Kummerow's shoulders in a gigantic trench coat and have him as one player.
It's like Voltron.
But
right, exactly.
White football players.
But with white football players.
Referees will get to be like, wait a second. No, we'll
Bring
allow
back
it. No,
Aberdaris and well, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you had, we're going 5 wide. We got obviously Devontae Adams, but then you got Janice, Kumaro, Aberdaris, and who's in that 5th spot?
I think for
Don Beebe.
for 15 bucks, we will not be a cameo receiver.
Hold on, Kevin's voice just went robot on me. Kev, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right, that was bizarre. Anyway,
That
hopefully
was the coolest
that as
thing
well,
I've ever
James?
heard in my life. Oh my god!
Did I glitch?
I said Voltron, and then Kevin turned into one. That was fantastic.
hopefully that'll translate well to the podcast. Another news story that we didn't cover is Jimmy Graham. What was the final? James, did you see the final diagnosis on what happened with him?
Old. He's old. It was age related. No, he did something to his finger, and Gutekunst yesterday said that he thinks he avoided anything major and he should be okay. So
I saw no surgery is going to be necessary. That's really important.
yeah,
Okay.
he'll be able to fly a helicopter soon.
I forgot what I was saying once Kevin went.
We've only done 2 of the 3 headlines.
Well, no, I know that much.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, because you were like in other news, I was like, wait a second, hold on.
No, let's.
How can none of us have said the magic words yet?
I don't know. Don't worry, I'll coax it out of us if we have to. All right, Kevin. The last story of the night.
All
I
right.
want a drink.
If Aaron Rodgers' ideas regarding offense are anything like his ideas regarding stadium beer, the Pack may go undefeated.
You went over the river and through the woods for that one, but I appreciated it. That was good. My alternate headline for this, and I'll put it up on the screen right now, is that, well, maybe right now. Where is it? There it is. Aaron Rodgers is a hero. So if you didn't hear, the suggestion that he made was that the Packers should reduce the price of beer to get fans rowdier so that they're louder in the stadium. That's friggin' genius.
I would take it one step further.
Oh, I like it. Hold on. Let me prepare, because I think this is going to be good. Okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
So I would have a company work with them directly to develop a Wi-Fi beer dispensing helmet that when you cheer, you are dispensed beer. It's like an individual reward for you, for each individual person in the stadium.
Okay, I like that. So like a Bluetooth-enabled beer dispensing
helmet, yeah,
tied to your decibel level.
Or some, yeah, exactly, yeah. Or like if you punch an opposing team's fan, like then you get like a shot or something. Yeah, right. Exactly.
That makes sense.
Yeah, either way. I mean, the prototype is still.
We talk about the home experience being better than the stadium experience. What you've done there is you've flipped it.
I've leveled the playing field, if not flipped it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's genius. So Aaron Rodgers wants to lower the price of beer, which, by the way, the price of beer at Lambeau
insane.
Bad. No, hold on. It's not bad for the NFL, though.
It's one of the lowers.
$8.25 for a beer is friggin' ridiculous.
The Ravens are doing the lower prices thing, and I got to be honest with you guys. I got more food because of it. And, I mean, it works. Like, that's why they do it. Like, I had a delicious meal of food.
And how much was that? How much did it cost?
I got
sounds like something a Conehead would say.
I got chicken fingers and French fries, a Subway sandwich, and a hot dog for $15, and a soda for $15.
Wait, chicken fingers,
fries, hot dog, and a soda.
Soda, $15.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
Very reasonable.
Now, a beer will set you back $8.25, and I think that's about the average, right, James? That's somewhere in that range.
Yeah, I think I feel like it's even more now. I think it's like closer to 9 or over 9.
But it's that's not bad as far as stadiums go. That doesn't make it right. So Rodgers wants to lower the price of beer so that let's take it to its logical conclusion. Fans get drunker. Fans yell louder. Some wet themselves.
Some poop themselves.
Well, here's the problem I have with it. You're sitting in
some poop on others.
You don't have individual seats. Like if you wet yourself in a normal stadium, It's held in your little plastic seat, no one else's. But at Lambeau, you got to be concerned about that.
Yeah, those benches, that's going to get pretty gross.
However, after about mid-November, it's just going to freeze on you. So, really, maybe
honestly, you might appreciate the warmth, the temporary warmth that you get.
So I saw something else that that I think LaFleur proposed that they hold on, I gotta put this up on the screen because James Hamlin points out some poop in laundry baskets. James, we salute you for your Najee Davenport reference. That there is a LaFleur proposed that they put in some sort of like decibel meter, and as the decibels get louder, the beer price gets lower. Tell me that's not genius. That takes Aaron Rodgers' idea, kick it up a notch.
That makes up for that stupid horn.
Yeah. The only problem is everybody in line screaming at the top of their lungs to make sure they get the lowest possible beer prices.
No, you see that as a problem. I see that as a solution.
Give me 6 beers.
Again, you see that as a problem. I see it as a solution. I think it's genius. So LaFleur, who created the worst idea in Packers fandom history, which was the foghorn, also now has introduced the best idea, decibel meter
beer pricing.
It's like the stock market. Like you got to decide when you're going to buy your beer. Like people are. So here's what I like. At halftime, lines will be shorter, less noise, higher beer prices.
Ooh, interesting.
Now, if we could somehow combine your Bluetooth idea with the decibel idea, and maybe like you have some sort of beer dispensing thing at your bench, your seat, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of infrastructure, but I think it could work. I think it could really.
I think it's really about making the game day experience a better one when you're at the stadium. And really, no amount of money can do that because it always needs to be evolving. So, yeah, let's invest $2 billion in this. If we have any investors who are listening, please send us a check for $2 billion, and we'll make this happen.
So, James, I wanted to ask you, and I'm gonna pour my beer in preparation because I know what's happening here. How many times do you think Aaron Rodgers? So I'm going to try to put this in a way that will get what I need out of you.
I get that a lot.
How many times do you think Aaron Rodgers needs to accept a hiked ball during the preseason for him to be effective in the regular season?
0.
You're going to have to say some words because 0 is
none.
The word of the week.
0 times. Not at all. Ever none.
Nunca. Nada. Zippo. Zilch.
When he's got his hands on Corey Lindsley's ass, what happened?
Hike. Snap.
Snap is the word of the week. Snap is the word of the week. And since we got to like the 58th minute before we mentioned it, now it's time to shit. Now I have a lovely, I'm not going to chug the Triple X because that's like an 8% beer, but I do have a lovely Labatt Blue. I don't know if Ed is still with us. Here we go.
So, as you guys know, I'm not a huge beer drinker, so I've decided today I'm going to chug this tuna salad pita wrap with American cheese. So whenever you guys are ready, we can do this.
I'm going to spit my beer all over the computer. All right. All right, Kevin chugging a tuna salad pita wrap. James, what are you chugging today? What is that?
It's a Capital Brewery Lake House Ale.
I'm afraid
is nothing like a tuna pita.
I'm afraid to watch Kevin while this happens. I'm going to try to chug a Labatt Blue. All right.
I'm just going to eat this at a relatively fast pace.
Prost.
Oh, that hurt.
He's not even a quarter of the way down.
Are you gonna make fun of me, or are you gonna help me?
I mean, it's hard to email a.
This is a good sandwich, too, guys.
Kevin's. I want to thank Eden Peterson for mentioning that Kevin's new nickname will now be Big Tuna, much like Jim Halpert. Oh my God!
For those of you who are just listening to the podcast and not watching, I feel like we should narrate. Kevin is now folding the pita. He's like 3/4 of the way done.
One bite.
He's got one bite left, is what he says.
He's got one. It's a delicious looking pita. It looks like with it's like a white pita with tuna.
I'm kind of jealous because I am hungry, and we're moving, so we don't have any food in the house, which friggin' sucks because I love food.
Oh, now he's chugging water to wash down the tuna.
That one came with a prize.
Oh boy!
Well, that was something.
Where exactly did you obtain that pita?
I made it.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I have still a little bit left in my mouth, so let me finish that while you guys talk.
Okay. In all seriousness, I do hope that the Packers do something with like that would be amazing if they tied beer prices to like crowd noise or like. I mean, I don't want to promote alcoholism, but just for like 4 hours a week.
What if they tie beer prices to the amount of Ubers that have been ordered to get a ride home?
Well,
right. So, like, if there's 100,000 Ubers being ordered, hey, beer's free. Why not? Everybody's being safe.
There's only 70,000 people in the stadium. So
exactly, people are being extra safe.
All right. Well, I don't know if this is a good show or not, but I enjoyed it. So that's really all that matters in the end.
And that sandwich was good. So really,
I'm seriously I'm starving. I'd love to go to Wawa, but now that I've had 3 of these, I don't think I should, and I won't. And we live out in the boonies, so there's no like Uber Eats. Anyway, before we get out of here tonight, James, what do you have? What do you want to tell people?
If you've made it 62-ish minutes into this thing, go ahead and tweet us the word. We're going to go with albacore.
Well played, albacore. And
I
Kevin,
voted for him. He got screwed. But.
He invented the internet.
I don't have anything, although I will say if you're making tuna salad, I know a lot of people use celery. I use dill pickles instead of celery. It adds the crunch, and the dill flavor is really, it's a nice flavor. So think about that next time you're making a tuna salad sandwich.
That's a smart move. That's you get the crunch, you get the taste. Because
celery is awful. Celery is terrible.
Well, it's not awful. It's just like that.
Celery has a purpose, but like who has celery in their house just for fun?
And celery is it's like 8 cents a pound. And if you tell me that you don't waste 90% of the celery you buy, then you're lying.
It's 8 cents a pound, but like the smallest bunch is like 4 pounds.
Right. Yeah. So you get 30 cents, I believe.
Yeah, it's still pretty cheap, I guess. I'm gonna go buy some celery, I guess.
The price of celery should be tied into the loudness of the supermarket.
Here's what I have to say. What I have to say is I cannot thank our patrons enough. Since we started doing video, it's so much fun to get together with these guys once a week and do a show. And you guys make that possible. You've allowed us to make some improvements to the show. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's improved the actual product, but it's improved our experience, so that's what I'm looking for. Thank you so much. And if you're on the fence about being a patron as the season starts, do it. We're going to have a lot more content. We'd love to get to the $200 level where we're doing instant pods after every game. So if you're on the fence, throw us a buck an episode. You won't regret it until, the 3rd month when you realize that you've been paying all along and you forgot about it. But otherwise, you'll regret it, but we won't. That's the point. But no, seriously, thanks a lot to our patrons. Thanks to everybody who listens. Share our show, please. Even on Facebook, when you see the live show, share it so other people in the Packers fan base might listen. And we'll see you next week with more Packers talk, and hopefully we will have a live report from the game in Canada. I'm working on that. I've got a correspondent. We may have him on the show, because Canadian Packers football is even better than regular Packers football. Go Pack, go. The preceding podcast was a production of Productions Institute, LLC. Copyright 2019. All rights reserved.